Are we live?
We're live.
We're live
And alive.
on location in Williams Lake with my family.
Mommy and Daddy.
Mommy and Daddy Sullivan. We're visiting my parents, Linda
Hello.
and Andy.
Hello there.
We are in Williams Lake this weekend for a series of streams, and we decided we would do a little let's get to know one of the streamers, being me, by grilling my parents about how I ended up this way.
How did Todd get so good looking and smart? Where did he get those qualities from?
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
And then there's where the negative qualities come from as well. So, just to start off with, do you want to take, what did you say? Good looking and smart? Was it? What was it? Kelsey, that you said good looking?
Something like
Okay. So what do you think? You good looking or smart from you?
Oh, that's tough. I have
Well,
a
the
bit of
looks,
both.
for sure.
And from you, what do you think? Good looking or smart or neither?
Good. Well, smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
That's about it for me.
Oh, okay. So where do we want to begin with this? I guess maybe you start us, Kelsey.
How did you find out you had Todd in your belly?
How did I find out? Well, it took a while because, I thought a couple of times I might have a Todd in my belly, and I didn't. So we had moved over to North Vancouver, and we weren't over there very long. I'd started a job in West Van, and voila, went to the doctor, and surprise.
There's Todd.
There's Todd.
What was the job?
I was working at the school district in West Vancouver in the library.
A librarian or like a library helper?
No, it was a librarian helper, yeah.
Did you like it? Were you like, I wish I could get an abortion and keep this job?
I didn't ever think that, but I did like the job. It was better than I thought it would be because it was a much larger working place than what I'd worked in before. But it was good, but I was happy. That's what we wanted.
Nice. And so do you have memories of finding out about my existence?
Yes. I guess when she came home from the doctor, I guess that's when I was probably told, and I was working at North Van at the time, and we would I'd go and pick her up, and then we'd go home, and I was studying, doing my accounting program, and I would have 15 minutes to have a snooze, and then I'd be gone again.
And
Oh,
so
you guys had opposite schedules. Oh, that's hard.
Yeah. Well, they were the same schedules, but he would have to pick me up because we had the one vehicle. Come home, I'd have to have dinner ready. He'd have a 15-minute sleep. Then I'd stay home, and then he'd whip off to UBC to go to school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mentioned the 15-minute nap was particularly challenging to get into on the night you found out I was coming.
That's true.
May not have been the most restful 15 minutes of your life. Little tossing and turning, maybe.
That's true.
But I remember one thing. Once you were born, and when we brought you home, I remember holding you, and you kicked and just about kicked out of my arms, and that kind of frightened me a bit.
Fair enough. Immediately, I'm like, I'm out of here.
That's right.
I don't want any of this.
Did you think he was going to be some athlete at that point?
Well, I don't know. I guess probably, but yeah, you were stronger and I expected.
How big was he when he was a baby? Was he a big baby?
No, 6 pounds, 6 ounces. And it was funny because there was a lady in the hospital beside me. I forget how many children she'd had. She'd had a lot, but they all were this one she had when I was in there was the smallest, and it was 12 pounds, and she was a girl. So here was 6 pounds, 6 ounce Todd, who was jaundiced, lying beside this 12-pound girl.
Wow.
Yes, it was quite a quite a picture.
I kind of wish I'd taken to like just being smaller. That would have been beneficial, maybe.
Well, that was like me, Todd. I was only 4 pounds, 5 ounces when I was born. And my parents had to feed me every hour, so that's what happened.
That's how it starts.
That's how it starts.
They're like, you have to like get pounds on this child.
Yeah.
And they just start, and then we're like, holy crap, this food thing is great.
It is.
That's it.
It's not our fault.
No, it's not. Well, it's your fault. You didn't put enough weight on me when I was in you.
When you were little. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
no,
true.
when I was inside you.
That's true. That's true. I only put on about 18 pounds. I didn't even hardly look like I was pregnant.
Wow. So did you? Was there a laugh?
I just went,
Were you ever the type of parents that like had hopes early on for like, there's some parents who are like, my kid's going to play football one day. Was there any element of that to you guys?
Like,
any
no,
any desire
never
to
once.
see me go down a particular path?
No. I think from the beginning, all that we really wanted for you, at least from my point of view, was is that you be happy in what you do. You make a good living, but be happy in doing it. At that point, I never had a career in mind for you. I mean, a little later on, I might have developed those.
right, you mentioned you thought he would be a good lawyer because he likes to argue.
Right, like because he's so good at discussing,
Yeah.
we thought he would be an excellent lawyer. We just
Yeah.
thought, where else could he go out and earn money for arguing? So, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I did consider it. I considered it even recently, like as much as 5 years ago. I thought about getting into it, but at that point, I was at an age where, I've been 45. It's like 8-10 years of school, and then what if I don't like it?
Yeah.
That's a lot of time, a lot of money, just to find out you didn't like something, and then what do? You're 55, and you're like,
Yes. When a lot of people are retiring.
well, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you have your turn to ask a question?
Well, you kind of just asked it. I was going to ask, was there a point when he was younger where you thought, oh, he's going to be this? Or was he... It sounds like he was a straight A student.
When he was young, yes, he was. When he was like in elementary, whatever, like he skipped a
So
grade.
he could have been anything at
Yeah,
that point.
he
Yeah.
skipped a grade. And as far as
To be fair, though, it's only the first grade, and it's a really easy one.
well, it was, but as I said earlier, he was reading at grade 9 level when he was in kindergarten.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So I think because he picked up reading and he loved books, I figured that he'd be something, a professional of some kind, even before
Yeah.
the lawyer. I just thought he really had the smarts. I know he was my child and everybody thinks that, but he read so easily and he loved it. He would read books to his little brother. We have a tape, which I wish we could play it, but it's an old tape. And anyway, he's reading this book, Yogi Bear and the Bubblegum Lions, and he had the cutest little lisp. And he's reading to his baby brother. He was 5 and Kevin was 3. And you can hear Kevin in the background making all the 3-year-old sounds while Todd is reading this book.
What are bubblegum lions? I don't remember.
I don't either. I just
You don't remember, do you? Yeah. Yeah.
Was he more into art than
Definitely.
certain things?
Definitely. He, I don't know if he's ever picked up too many drawing tools over the last year. I know he's done a few paintings and that, but he was very artistic. He drew wonderful pictures. He was very, that's our clock.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, it's going to do that every 15 minutes for this hour-long stream.
Sorry.
My grandparents. That's the same one.
Is that right? Sorry.
Yeah, I think at a certain era, everyone just got one of these clocks. Yeah.
Do you know why?
That went back to my grandparents. They had a cuckoo clock, and for some reason it made me feel really great.
Well, like this did it reminded you of that, or the?
Well, no, I wanted one that had different sounds for every quarter hour. So,
But because the cuckoo clock in your childhood made you feel good, you wanted to sort of have something that reminded you of that.
I would think so.
That's cool.
But the real truth of why we have it is when we moved in here, the people that were here before had the same clock, and it had changed color. So we had to put something that fit over the spot on the wall. If you move that clock, it's paler underneath.
Oh, I just need some stain.
Wow.
Isn't that mind-blowing?
That's pretty deep.
Yeah.
I would not have put up with that for that long over a stain. Like, that's
It grows on you. We've just gotten used to it.
every time I come back and I hear it, I'm just like, ugh. And anytime I hear it anywhere else, I'm like, ugh. It's like, maybe on the hour would be okay, but like, calm yourself, clock, is my feeling. But
Well, because time's going by faster every day. For
every
me.
day.
I wouldn't want to be reminded
Well,
by that.
this one is kind of wearing down, so you never know.
Boo, boo,
That's right, exactly. Like sometimes when it's like 7 o'clock, it'll give 2 gongs, and sometimes when it's 2 o'clock, it'll give 7. So, it makes life interesting. You don't really know what time it is unless you come and look at it.
You don't need TV.
That's true.
just entertained by the gongs. So I think before the stream started, we talked a little bit about how when I hit high school is when I stopped being amazing and perfect. At that point,
And why? Why was he difficult all of a sudden?
Now that I really don't know. I mean, of course,
What was he doing that was perceived as difficult?
he was more argumentative. Before he liked to argue, but to a certain point, he was definitely more argumentative. He, he started doing the things where he was out a little later than he should have been, and with a group of guys that
snuck out at night,
where you weren't too sure
started
about.
smoking.
And he used to hate smoking. When his grandfather would come after he left, he used to run around and open all the windows and ask me to wash the drapes. And, but I mean, the boys, they were always welcome in our house, even though I didn't always, I think most of them came over and visited.
Oh yeah, you guys are very, very welcoming to the friends that I had.
Yeah, but one thing I do have to admit, because it wasn't until not too long ago that I thought it was true. You would go down in the wee hours and he'd have a note on his door. And it would say, "Sorry, Mom, I've had to go out because one of my friends is having a hard time." And his gullible mother really thought, "Oh, that's so sweet that he's gone to be with a friend that's having a hard time." And later on, I just found out it was an excuse.
I was trying not to get into trouble, which
got you in more trouble.
well, no, because by the time they found out, it was like many years later. Yeah,
It didn't matter anymore.
Didn't matter
Yeah.
anymore.
Water under the bridge. The question I was trying to get to, though, is that period, compared to earlier on when we're asking you, what did you hope I would maybe be?
Right.
At that period, what were you afraid I might turn out like from there?
I don't think I was afraid that you were really going to get into trouble. I mean, I really did believe you had good common sense and you were intelligent and you talked to us about a lot of stuff. I remember at that time there was a lot going on to do with, not a lot, but a number of people were interested in this Satan worship, and there were supposed to be things going on up in the woods behind and whatever. And you always came home and you discussed it with me. You always, we might not always had, a nice calm discussion, but you always pretty well talked about most of the stuff
He was
with
pretty
me.
transparent.
Yeah,
to do
he
that.
was, and I
That's nice.
tried to not be too shocked about anything and let him talk to me about it. But I was a little concerned when he went off the path a bit because I thought, no, he's a smart guy. He's going to figure it out. He's not going to get in trouble. I really didn't think he would. Yeah.
Well, this is my
Good motherly instinct.
attempt to dig up dirt on myself is failing here.
Well, I mean, during that period, even though I might have thought that, there were some pretty...
Did he get grounded ever?
I don't think so. I can't remember grounding you. Can you remember being grounded?
Okay, I'm gonna tell the story here, which is the only one I remember that would have been close enough to being grounded.
Okay.
And I don't know if you guys will.
I bet I know what it is. Go ahead.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so there was a time where this is on midnight. You guys, I don't know what year this would have been or how old I would have been. Probably 10, 11, 12, into that sort of thing. You guys were out for dinner.
Oh, yes.
You know where I may be
Oh,
going
my
with this?
dad remembers.
It's beginning to dawn on them now. And I don't think there was no babysitter. My brother and I, we were old enough that there was no sitter. We were just left on our own. And I swear to God, I don't know what I was harassing my brother about, but I was harassing him about something, and I wouldn't stop, and I wouldn't stop, and I wouldn't stop, and he got so mad that he was like trying.
You're just too close.
Oh, you're right. I probably am. He starts trying to attack me.
Like physically?
Yes. And so I ran to my bedroom.
You didn't stand up for yourself. You ran.
I ran to the bedroom. I locked my door. He comes around outside the house. We had bedrooms in the basement, so my window is at the ground floor. He kicks my window in.
Classic.
I'm terrified he's going to kill me.
At what age is this?
I'm between 10 and 12 is what I'm guessing. I don't know if you...
You were probably about 12, 13, and he was, 10 or 11, something like that.
So big brother was scared of little brother.
Oh, yeah.
He was
Okay.
very good at poking and teasing, and he had a way. He could get you livid, but then he'd just skedaddle.
Who, Todd or Todd?
He would skedaddle, yeah.
Todd.
And I'm the one making them livid. I would make them livid, and then I skedaddle. That's my MO. Then he kicked in the window, and then I phoned the restaurant that they were at, saying, you have to find my parents or something. Andy and Linda Sullivan, they're there somewhere. My brother's trying to kill me. They have to come home now. Something to that extent.
Yes.
And I ruined probably a lovely dinner.
Yes, your father had been away for a while. He'd been away on some school board business, and we were going out for a lovely dinner. And I remember saying to the kids, you're each responsible for yourselves. This is the first time they were without a sitter. And I said,
I was responsible for myself.
No.
I didn't break my window.
And we told them if you were responsible for each other and didn't argue, we would pay them just like we would pay a sitter.
Oh, what a...
Oh, wow. Man.
But guess what?
yeah,
They didn't get the
no
money.
money.
I wouldn't have thought so. I wouldn't have
No.
thought so.
But I thought, Todd, you were going to bring up when you were a wee bit older and you learned a lesson about using a modem.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, but so the restaurant one, was there a grounding at that point?
No, but I think you had to pay for the window.
Okay.
Out of your allowance, which took a while.
Right.
Yeah. But the other one was when we told him you don't use a modem back then because it's a lot of money.
Don't think you told me that.
We told you that.
I don't think
Yes,
you
we
told me
Okay,
that.
we don't have time to argue here. Got people watching.
Anyway,
Don't
so
get grounded.
he chose not to listen, and he used this. Well, we get, at that time, you got your telephone bill in the mail. Well, we get something from BC Tel, and I thought, what is this? Like, it was this thick.
Todd,
It was hundreds of dollars.
no.
And that was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
More than 20
Okay.
years ago.
So here's the thing, though.
Bad.
Here's the thing. You
What
have to
did you do?
you have to consider this. This was not like in the 90s, like with the internet. This was a Commodore 64
Yes.
with a modem
Yes.
that I dialed to Vancouver. This is before the internet, people.
I don't understand.
Like,
that.
this is massive nerd cred. Granted, okay, I got in trouble, but like, how many other people were modeming on a Commodore 64?
I don't know that.
Not very many,
Yeah,
Kelsey.
I've never
Not
heard.
very many.
So what he's saying is he was before his time, but it took him a long time to work that bill off.
Yeah, I guess. How did I pay that off?
Well, out of chores around the house, and you had to give about half your allowance up every week.
So wait, he figured out how to use this modem,
Oh yes.
and then.
Oh, yeah.
And then.
Online.
Online.
And so basically, before the internet, you would use a modem.
But what did you use it for? Or is that? Can we hear that? What is it?
So before
What
the
did you use the internet for?
before the internet, there was this thing called bulletin board systems, and you would dial directly into this bulletin board system. And very much like the internet, this bulletin board system would have like a chat room where you could like post messages. They would have games. One of the I think the first time I dialed in, there's an option to talk to the sysop. Sysop stood for system operator, so they were like the guy who ran the bulletin board system. So I was like, oh, sure, I'll chat with this sysop.
Wow.
And
And you were how old?
I don't think a whole lot older, like 13, 14.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe a year or two older after the incident. with
The
your
mirror or the window
Yeah.
incident. but yeah, I went to chat to the sysop, and like he literally came on and started chatting back. And this was like, again, this is before the internet. This is like at 13 to be 1986, and I'm having a live conversation by text with another human being in Vancouver, and I was like, this is really cool,
That is cool.
right? And I even remember now. I didn't actually think about. I haven't thought about that story in forever, but I remember him asking, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Williams Lake," and he said, like he was surprised, which I guess I'm gonna have to bleep out. I shouldn't have said that, but it's what he said, guys. It's what he said.
There, I did that, so he knows when.
I'm gonna check the time because it's about 35 or 25 minutes into the stream.
Yeah.
23 minutes.
20. 44.
Okay. Because he was surprised that I was calling from that far away.
Yeah.
Make it interesting.
And then just the immediacy and the coolness of that, of being able to like communicate with another person so far away, I admittedly got a little addicted to it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I could understand it, but we still weren't going to pay a phone bill.
Well, no, of course not. Of
So
course
how
not.
much did he rack up?
It was close to $300. Yeah. And that's going
In
back.
86.
Yeah,
That's a lot of money.
it was. I can't remember what his allowance was at that time. But I tell you, it took him a while to work it off and pay it off, I'll tell you.
Still pay
And then
it
he
off.
got brownie points if he,
We didn't have a whole lot of money at that time either.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, sure, make me sound even worse.
We're on poverty's door.
Struggling.
We couldn't afford dinner that night.
That's right.
But in a way, I mean, I guess looking back at that, it's not surprising that I got as into the internet as I did. Like that sort of, like immediately as soon as I found that sort of technology, I was like, this is cool. I want more.
And
And
that's
then,
why I get you to edit videos, because I don't do that.
Yeah.
You do that.
Well, I mean, I can't remember when he first, really developed a love for it, but he did. I remember back
He's
then
very tech savvy.
we used to get a Commodore 64 book, and there were pages.
there were magazines, I
Yes.
think what it was. And as much as in like late 90s, early 2000s video game magazines, you could get CDs that would have demos of games on them. Back in the day of the Commodore 64, the way to get the demo is
You had to type it all in, pages and pages.
Program codes.
yeah, basically, yeah. And so I had bought this game that I wanted, or this magazine that had this game that I wanted to try. And so I brought it to my mom to type in because I knew that she had worked at jobs where she could type.
Yeah.
She had a fast typing speed.
Yeah, I did.
And so I said, would you type this up? And you did.
Yes, but did we ever get it to work? Because
We did.
You only have to miss one little sign or symbol, and that's it, boy. And it's not like you can read like the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. It's all kinds of gibberish.
Right.
Yeah, because it didn't work the first time.
Yes.
And then I assume that, I don't think I did it. I assume you must have gone back through everything
Yes.
and proofread it.
Yeah.
But it did eventually work. I played it once. It was dumb, and I never played it again.
Was it like ping pong or
It-
or what's that? What's that original
Pong.
Pong? But
Yeah.
What was the joystick game? What before Nintendo? What was that?
Pong had a joystick. Pong had a
It
turny
was
thing.
something different.
Atari?
Yeah. Atari.
It would be about the same era as Atari games. It was a bit like Space Invaders.
Oh.
So like, I
Yeah.
think you were flying forward, and so instead of aliens coming down at you, you were flying forward and like shooting them. But
That was the game.
That was the game. Yeah. There'll be 2 more of those before the stream's over, guys. So you're getting the full experience of like what it's like to be in the Sullivan household.
That's right, absolutely.
But yeah, I played it once, thought it was dumb, and I never played it again. But I think I only asked you to do that once. So
Yeah, I think after once is all I could have handled too.
Yeah. Okay, so all right, that's 1986.
yeah, let's go to graduation. We already talked about
Let's
that a
talk
little bit.
Todd's first girl that he brought home.
Oh Jesus, what are we doing? This we didn't.
Who or boy, I don't know. I don't know what you did. When did Todd start dating? Look at him get red. This is so fun for me. When did he start dating? Was it a secret? What are you doing? Hey, no, you're still part of this.
You know what? I can't remember her name. She ended up marrying somebody else.
Yeah.
Did she?
Yeah.
Didn't she move down to the coast?
Moved down to the coast. She hung out. She hung out first of all with a number of you guys together, and then I think it was Middleton was the. I guess I don't know if I'm supposed to say that was the last name, and she ended up going down with him. You went
I
down.
didn't know that.
Oh, you moved down to Vancouver with
I
them.
know more about your ex than
You
do.
moved down to Vancouver when you didn't go back to school.
No, I didn't. I didn't move with a girlfriend.
No, you didn't move with a girlfriend. They were down there.
But she had never been my girlfriend.
No, but she was the first girlfriend that you brought to the house.
Oh, I see. I see. Yeah, she was the first female friend I had. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Who I did like that way.
Yes, you
But
did.
but
Yeah.
it just
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Oh well.
I'm over it.
Next.
Yeah.
next.
Let's move away from this topic. I'm not comfortable with this topic.
All right, let's not talk about Todd's dating life.
So do you remember your days as Cubs and Beavers?
Vaguely. I remember like setting up tents. I remember Mom being amazing on stilts.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I was.
What?
I cooked at these Cub campouts. And anyway, they had stilts. They had a bunch of different stations. And I saw these stilts and I said, oh, I'm going to get on. And of course, the kids are all like, Mom's going to kill herself, But little did they know that I had been a stilt expert when I was younger. Of course,
And she still was.
But it was quite a few years ago. But I got on these stilts and I walked on. And so only time in my life people have been amazed with me.
Is there some circus talent in this family?
Not that I'm aware of.
I feel like-
But I will tell you, the stilts I had when I was growing up, we had a tall house and then we had a kind of a lean-to thing that went. The stilts that I used to walk on were probably 6-7 feet tall because I could get off on the roof. So these piddly little stilts
Holy.
were nothing.
That's huge.
I know. I wouldn't do that now.
Speaking of circus talent, though, you guys did buy me once a learn how to juggle kit.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. And I briefly got mildly okay. I could do 3 balls for maybe 3 rotations. Kelsey,
What?
be proper.
Don't say that then.
That's right. You
I
don't
won't
want to
go there.
edit. You don't want to have to edit.
Okay, yep.
Oh no, I was just taking a deep inhale. I had no question for you.
I do want to say something else, though,
Yes.
before we go by this, is that he probably still is if he would do a lot of it, but he was quite a musical genius, actually. He
Right, ukulele, I hear.
he used to be
Not originally, but yeah.
Okay.
wonderful. Like, he went over to next door neighbors, and they had a piano, and he sat down and just picked out the tune.
But you had, we had
never
a,
taught.
Pardon?
well, eventually I did. But we had an organ
Yes.
too, which is also where I was plunking out tunes.
Well, you were, but it was a small kind of, just kind of a fun one.
Yeah.
And then he decided he wanted something more impressive. Well, unfortunately for him, I guess, he didn't get a piano, but we got a ginormous organ that did everything
Cool.
except get up and tap tap.
It was a very cool organ. In retrospect, it was really funky. As funky as an organ can be, I think.
I know, but it had all the neat sounds, and
Yeah.
and he could play that so well. And I have particularly fond memories because he would play some songs and he would sing with me. We would sing together, and it was
Like-
so nice.
Like songs that you created.
No, they'd be like TV theme songs.
Okay.
Because that's the music books
Yeah.
that we had. So I don't know, we're singing the theme to
Right.
Falcon Crest or something.
But I do have to tell you about I don't know if it was it might have been the first time that he ever performed in the music concert. He gets up and he's playing this thing. What was it called, Todd?
Popcorn, I believe.
Popcorn.
And it's a long song.
Yes.
It's like 5 or 6 pages
More.
of
I
sheet
think
music.
More than that.
And so so that I wouldn't have to like flip through them while I'm playing, they were all taped together. One sheet was taped to the next.
And he gets up, he gets himself all seated, and he gets to start, and it all goes and all falls off the piano.
Oh no!
And I felt so badly. He gets himself up, he walks over, he gathers it all up, calm and coolly, sits it back up.
Was not calm
How old was he?
remotely.
Oh, I don't know how old you would be.
Junior high. 14.
No, you weren't that old, were you, Todd? I don't think so.
Maybe not.
No.
Maybe not.
I mean, I would say close to that. I would say,
I was gonna say
like,
now.
Like around the window incident.
well,
age.
I'm 12 in grade 8, I think.
Oh, okay.
Because I skipped a year, right? So
Yeah.
I was thinking 11 or 12
Okay,
is
yeah.
where my mind was.
Well, I don't think you were in junior high yet, so probably 11 maybe. Yeah. But I just, because he, at that time, he was fairly introverted. He wasn't overly, it's hard to believe, but he wasn't an extrovert.
Yeah.
And if it had been me, I would have just passed out or probably walked off the stage. But he just, everybody thought, and they all said how calm he was. And, I thought he was
That's
too.
a true professional.
And I wasn't remotely calm. Like, my heart was.
Yeah, but to present yourself as calm.
It's really just like there are two options, and that is just I freeze and I do nothing, or I just get up and put it back on and try to continue.
But I've seen that with him in present time.
Right.
Sometimes chords we can't find, certain things aren't charged fully. We get the job done regardless.
Yeah.
I see beads of sweat going down his face. But
Which you probably would have seen at that music performance if you were close enough, for sure.
But yeah, like I can kind of like, okay, I could feel him being, because we have to shoot soon, and we don't have. Oh my God, we're missing a piece of equipment, and then Todd's just drenched in sweat.
When
but he doesn't let anyone else know.
No.
And I'm like,
When we did the paint night, the iPhone that we normally stream from,
Right.
we pulled out to use it. It's got like 20% battery power. And it's because even though I had charged it the night before, somehow I'd accidentally turned on the flashlight, left the flashlight running overnight, drained all the battery. So I had to very, very quickly like get my personal phone set up properly to stream from with like 15 minutes to go. But
And
we made it.
one other note on the musical side.
I won some awards.
Yes, he won awards from the music festival.
no way.
And he won,
And from high school band.
for jazz band. But going back, like, as I say, he was playing the organ. But when he went into, was that grade 7? I can't remember, because the first thing you took up was
Well,
the saxophone.
I started the saxophone in grade 7.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what I wanted to say is as soon as he figured out, just himself figuring the notes, we phoned my dad, his grandfather, on Vancouver Island, and he played him a song over the phone because my dad had played the saxophone. And it was so sweet. My dad was so impressed. He just thought it was so wonderful.
And then I didn't like the saxophone, so I took the drums the next year.
But my dad had played the drums too, so he thought that was awesome.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
both
And I-
sexy instruments.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't do it. Never mind. Anyway,
And I did the drums for 3 years, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's cool. I know how to play hot cross buns on the recorder. Just
Really?
But it's not about me today, so
Oh,
it's all
okay.
good.
We'll
But I
highlight
have-
your talent some other time.
Hot cross buns. It's all good. We don't have to talk about that.
Okay. We won't talk about that. Okay, so where are we going next?
But yeah, you are musically talented, and
Yes.
you can read words very nicely.
I can
You know
I can
that.
still read some
So
music.
you're musically talented. You're tech savvy.
Yeah.
And
And
you're an actor.
I am an actor.
What?
I could be acting right now. You would have no
You're
idea.
acting like
I am such a good actor that you would not
You're
know
acting like a good son right
that am I okay, good. Good. That's the only way I can pull off being a good son is by acting like it.
now. Yeah. But did he always have a theatrical?
I'm gonna
side
say
to him?
they're gonna
I'm
say
asking
no.
Your mom.
You're right, you are.
No. Well, yes and no. Like as far as in public, no. But he loved to make believe. One of his famous portrayals was of Indiana Jones.
Oh, Oh.
right.
He had the neatest kind of hat. It was a little patterned, but it was kind of like Indiana Jones. And he would use the belt from his house coat for the whip. And he did love to portray Indiana Jones. Yes, he did. So he did. He was very creative, and
Come on, Indiana Jones is pretty cool.
It is, yes.
but he wouldn't have done that for anybody, like a group of people or whatever.
Yeah.
Just in the privacy and the security of his own home or bedroom.
Right.
But that's what I was telling you as we were driving up here. Like when I was younger, I had this issue of wanting to be the center of attention, but being so shy that I didn't want anyone to look at me. And so it was a real struggle
Yeah.
juggling those two sides.
Yeah, I can relate to that too. Yeah, I was very shy growing up, but if I can make people laugh, then yeah, look at me.
Yeah.
But yeah, other times if I'm not funny, if I don't feel funny, I don't want anyone looking at me. I don't want, if I'm, so that, there's different sides. for
Well, I
sure.
think that's quite true. I think, I mean, not that I'm any expert, but I think many times some of these people that are comedians and whatever,
Have a dark side.
They do, because they so want to please the public. They want to make them laugh. They want to, and if they fail, they, feel they don't succeed, that leaves them.
Hide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that was Todd. He liked to be the center of attention with us.
With a very small audience, yeah.
I mean, but obviously he's gotten over that because his audience has kind of expanded.
So when Todd feels most comfortable, that's when he really flourishes. And
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very wise.
Yes, it is.
I've never framed it that way
Beer.
before.
But yeah, I mean, I'm saying that because I can relate to that.
Yeah.
If I'm around people that I feel comfortable around, then I can be my weird, goofy self. And if I feel like I'm around judgmental jerks, then I act different.
Yeah.
So
No, I think that's true. Mind you, sometimes when you're around people that are a little bit judgmental, it might happen more as you get older. You still act like your goofy self because you think, I don't really care.
Well,
If they
and
don't
there
like
is-
me, then that's fine.
yeah, and
You
there's
know.
a lot of freedom and
Yeah.
power in that, where you just screw it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I want to ask this question, but I kind of know the answer because Todd and I have talked about this. Where was the turning point for his self-confidence to kind of do a 180? He mentioned something about the newspaper job. That was his turning point?
Well, when the very first, like when he didn't want to go back to school. He
He
wasn't-
didn't or did?
didn't want to
Oh.
go back to school. So we said, okay, there's either going back to school or you have to get a job.
This is after high school.
Well, no, because
Well, because I hadn't graduated, so but it was like
Did you graduate?
no.
Oh,
I'm sure I told you that before.
I forgot that part.
I went to grade 11, got about halfway through grade 11, and then sort of stopped going. And then I love how I framed that.
Which we
Sort
didn't
of.
know.
Well,
If we didn't know what you weren't going.
You lied and told them that you were still going to high school?
no, not as such.
by omission.
I
By
just-
omission. He didn't say he wasn't going, and he didn't say he was. He just would leave in the morning.
Yeah, I left in the morning, and then our house sat on these great big woods, and so I'd like walk up the trail. The way I normally go to school is like walk up this trail here. This trail over here goes along the back fence, and then I go up this way and over a hill off towards school. There's a rock. There's a big rock right there, and all I had to do was like go around. I'd sit behind the rock until about whatever time it was that my parents went to work, and then I like peek around the rock, wait until they're both gone, and then I'd go back home and go to bed. Actually.
Yeah, like it was quite a shock. It wasn't until the end of the year when we got his report card that said he wasn't passing and that he had missed more days than he attended. And it was like,
And he didn't get grounded then?
no,
That-
no.
late.
It was a little, and we were firm believers. How can you force him to go? You can't force him unless you walk him to school, sit at the school, So that's when we said, okay, then if you don't want school, then you have to get a job. So he got a job with the newspaper as a reporter, and he really didn't care for it very much then.
No, because the issue there was I wanted to be a writer, but I was also too shy to be able to handle the interviews.
Yeah.
And I have a fairly vivid memory once of I was going to do a story about this new gym that had opened in a little plaza that was just down the road from where we lived. And so I walked down to interview this guy, and I got there, and I spent like 20 minutes pacing around outside the business trying to psych myself up to go in and interview him. And I just couldn't. So I went home and I found my boss and was like, I don't think I can do this job. And he was like, well, I'm losing the person who's designing my advertising for me. Do you want to learn how to do that? I didn't have any other jobs. I was like, okay. And then I was in the newspaper industry for the next 25 years.
Yeah.
That's a cool story.
Yeah.
It's neat how things kind of unfold in that way.
Yeah, it's so weird because I was never particularly, like, I didn't grow up saying, I want to be a newspaper man. It was, I wanted to be a writer.
Right.
And I just fumbled that into a job doing something unrelated to that. Over the years, I was able to sort of like say, like when I was working at the Tribune, for example, I guess it was before that actually. Anyway, I went and I pitched, this is when the internet was just getting started. I pitched doing a weekly column about the internet for the newspaper. And so that's how I started writing for a newspaper. My full-time job was still like designing ads and laying out the paper. Finally, 20-ish years later, when I worked at Kamloops This Week, was the first time that I actually achieved what my goal was when I started in the newspaper industry, which was to have a job as a writer.
Wow.
And that was it.
20 years.
Yeah. And I thought about it that way. I thought about like, this is what I set out to do. And it took this long to get there, but it finally happened.
But the point is, you're doing what you like or love.
Yeah, and a secondary point for me was that as a writer, I'd never gone to journalism school. I'd never been properly trained. And I finally had someone that was willing to say, you are good enough to be earning a living doing this. And that was nice.
Yeah, it's a big compliment.
Yeah. You're like terrified of this thing.
Well, I mean, all I could say is that, I mean, I was thrilled that you were able to do that and disappointed that, unfortunately, due to cutbacks and whatever, you couldn't continue doing that because you're right. I mean, you had tried so hard and worked so many different, you even had your own little newspaper here for a while.
Which was a tremendous amount of fun. That's,
Yeah.
that's
Can
one
I
of...
talk about the Williams Lake newspaper?
Well, the way
Williams Lake.
the one that I started or the one that I worked at?
I don't care.
Oh, thanks. You're so committed to this interview. You just don't care.
The one you started.
Yeah, there was... well, the very first newspaper I worked at was for a guy named Darcy Haddon who... he wasn't a traditional newspaper guy. He just sort of started this little newspaper from scratch. And I started working for him. And then eventually that paper was bought by a larger paper. And it became a more normal newspaper, functioning like a normal paper. And from there, I moved to another bigger newspaper and just sort of kept my career expanding and learning and growing. And anyway, about 20 or so-ish years into this career, I got I was working here in Williams Lake, but we also had newspapers in Hunter Mile and Quesnel. And I got an obituary from the Quesnel paper for Darcy. And as I built the obituary for him, I realized that he had been younger than I was at that moment when he started the paper that I had initially worked for. And I was like, if he could start his own newspaper then, hardly knowing a single thing about newspapers, and here I am after these many years, if I can't start my own publication now, then when will I ever? And I'd wanted to do sort of an arts and lifestyle sort of thing for a few years. And I was with Julie at that time, an ex, who was also very much into the arts. And so when that paper I was working for was bought out by another paper,
Did that like that later?
I think it did, yeah.
Or
Is it supposed to?
or a ghost?
No.
No? Okay.
It's always my first thought.
But when that paper was being bought out and I didn't want to work for that company that was buying it, I was like, this is my moment. I'm going to take this buyout. I'm going to go and start this arts and lifestyle magazine with Julie. And we did. And it was one of the coolest things I've done. We did it for 3 years. And then we ended up shutting it down and moving to Kamloops. But I was actually reading through Issues of the Stew within the last few months and looking at it and going, this is actually really, really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it was a disappointment that we never got to sort of continue with it, and disappointing that when we ended up selling it, the person who bought it, I felt, took it in a direction that was an antithesis to what it was. But once you sell it, it's it's not your thing anymore. You don't,
Not you anymore.
yeah, you don't get to decide what it is. But it was a great opportunity, a great experience, and we put my child on at least one of the covers. They ended up becoming briefly famous in Williams Lake because we kept putting pictures of them in. I remember we were at the Stampede Parade one year, and there was a float that went by, and somebody's like, "Oh my God, that's so and so," recognizing them from the magazine. It was pretty funny.
Well, she was very photographic, so
Yeah.
photogenic. Pardon me. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very cute. Very cute kid.
And then went to Kamloops and got into content creation with TELUS, which has brought me back to another sort of passion, which is filmmaking and video and that sort of thing. So, yeah, very happy to be here doing this.
Cool. We're not done yet, though.
Okay.
Sounds like you're talking like we're done.
Okay, fine.
We're not done.
Okay. I can tell. There's still like probably 10 minutes left.
You just wanted to make sure you got that in there.
We're
Yeah.
45 minutes in.
Only 45. Oh, okay.
Already 45. Because we're having so much fun, Todd.
Yeah, okay. Where do you want to go next?
To the bathroom because I have to pee.
Do you hear that, world?
Literally.
You don't have to take it off. You can just turn it off. You don't have to take.
Oh. Keep talking. Like.
Okay, all right. Anything you guys want to talk about? Proudest moment.
Proudest moment?
Yes.
Oh, my. I don't know. There were many proudest moments.
Pick the first one that comes to mind.
Well, when they told me you were grading at a grade 9 level in kindergarten, I mean, that blew my socks off.
I guess it would. Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
I knew you were a good reader, but I mean, I had no way to determine what level because I obviously didn't have any grade 9 books around for you to read. They were probably a few grades up from kindergarten, but yeah, that was pretty exciting. Yeah.
How about you? Do you have like a not maybe the proudest moment, but a proud moment?
Well, I think when you played the organ and did such a good job of that, and were taking lessons, and that was very nice. I come from a musical family, but I'm not very musical, so it was quite important to me.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever really expressed to you guys how grateful I am for the music lessons that I had, because it introduced me to music and gave me enough music knowledge that I was able to sort of carry with me. Like, I still have a basic rudimentary understanding of music theory. Like, I know that A minor is the relative minor to C. And so, like, when I decided I was going to learn the ukulele, I knew that if I learned the C chord, the A minor chord, and the F chord, I can do some fun stuff with those three chords. Right. And so, as somebody who I like to this day, I think it's great when I think all people should know how to clumsily play at least one instrument. Mm-hmm. Like, just to be able to sit down and strum on a ukulele or plunk on a piano or something that like, there's just so, music is just so vital. That everyone should just have an opportunity to express themselves via music in some way. And I've tried with my own child to do that, and they've not, you can lead a horse to water and that sort of thing, right? You have to want that. And thankfully I did, as much as I thought it would have been cooler to learn piano than learning how to play the organ.
Organs, like body organs.
Yeah. You line up the different organs like a xylophone, and you're just like, but they all just sound like plop. Just sounds like you're punching a steak.
Knowing Todd's macabre personality, he would probably get quite a kick out of playing organs.
I probably would, actually. You're right. Yeah. You wouldn't like, you'd have to squeeze them. You have to get the air to go through the vessels somehow and make it, maybe you have to blow through it.
Slap it.
Slapping the organ. Yep. But yeah, no, very grateful for because it's it's encouraged me to continue. Like, I still have a keyboard. I don't play it very much, but like I can turn it on and I can mess around with it. And it's encouraged me to the point where we haven't done this. We should visit a little bit of this.
School day treasures.
Yeah.
Everyone. What is this, Dad? Dad, Mom?
Let Mom talk about it, I
Mom
guess.
talks. Okay.
Well, we're not going to
It's-
have very much time for school day
No,
treasures.
but it's, oh my God. It's an archive of like me from grade.
Well, basically,
it's
from
kind of-
kindergarten up to.
Wait, let me see the picture.
Oh, okay. So right here. So there he is in grade 1.
Can we?
Yeah, you can bring that to the
Okay.
camera if you want.
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh, look at him. He looks exactly the same.
But without the whiskers.
That's why I have the beard, so I don't look like I'm 10.
Look, how cute. Aww. Grade 1. Since he's so smart, you're probably 3 there.
Oh, and my teacher was Mrs. What the
Miss
heck?
Yurkovich.
Oh, I remember that. I thought that said
Yeah.
Firkentich. I remember that name now,
Yeah,
actually.
Yurkovich.
Yeah.
There you are in your fancy vest.
Yeah.
And this one here. And that was Mrs. Collier.
Yeah, and then I had Mrs. Collier again the
Yeah,
next year.
Yeah, you had Mrs. Collier again.
She was a really good teacher.
Yeah.
She brought out a lot of things in you.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
My only memory of her is that we had to say the Lord's Prayer at the beginning of class every day. And a student had to go up and hold the teacher's hand as you said the Lord's Prayer, which was, in retrospect, kind of messed up. Oh my God, the greatest American hero! Drawn by me in 1981, so that's 8 years old.
You need to frame that.
It's pretty good, eh?
Wow.
And then that was
Oh, I spelled American wrong. I'm embarrassed.
Oh, that's a good cat.
Oh, that's our Murphy.
Murphy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a still life.
Wow,
of
that's
the cat.
a really good picture.
It's not bad, eh?
Yeah, you're a
wasn't.
good artist.
And he got better.
How old? Grade 2?
Oh, grade 4.
But that
That's
would have
still
been a
pretty
year
good.
less than others because he had skipped
Right, so,
a grade.
okay, like
Yeah.
grade 3 then.
Yeah, got to keep mentioning that part.
Yeah, Todd's smart, everyone.
Oh, and then that's
Oh, the kangaroo report.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
that the year? I guess is that grade 5? Yeah, that's when I had. In grade 5, we had the teachers swapped partway through the year.
Like the show Wife Swap?
No, but yes. Basically, it was an exchange with Australia. So our teacher went to Australia halfway through the year, and the Australian teacher came here.
Cool.
So that was kind of neat. Yeah.
well, we'll have to
I think
fix that
I-
after.
So we learned about
Accents.
kangaroos
I just
Yeah.
tried
and
to
wallabies.
Then this was grade 6, and in grade 6, he was already writing, writing his stories here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What? Why? Oh, it's chapter 19.
And she's got super. Must have been a book report.
Oh, right. Yeah, the K. I thought I was writing a novel and starting at chapter 19.
You have good writing.
Right? Yeah.
He
What-
did.
It went downhill rapidly. Oh, I think I had to write an alternate final chapter maybe. Then the person who found me brought me to a hospital. I told him I was blind, and they called my parents. After many x-rays and tests, they found the nerve that had been damaged and could not be fixed. After that, we moved off Yorakakao, chartered a schooner out to Devil's Mouth, built a hut, and lived there for the rest of our lives. And only now I understand that voice I heard was the ghost of Timothy, saving me again.
How old were you when you got there?
Grade whatever, what year? What grade?
Grade
6
6.
is usually what, 11?
What?
So you would have been 10.
Yeah.
There's either 12 and you were 11. And there is the archer.
Oh, that's
Todd.
the other thing I was going to mention about Cubs is I liked archery, and I think I was okay at it.
Yeah, you were.
Can be about to
Probably
fire
see it.
a badass bow. Maybe even
Todd, stop making swears.
that's not that yeah,
Bad
okay,
butt.
fine.
A bad butt bow.
Well, that's a music festival thing.
That's you?
Yeah, music festival.
That's
Yeah,
you?
that's me.
There's so much stuff in here, Todd. I can't pull it all out.
One in there too, Linda,
Look
when
at this
we
cute
had-
dog he drew.
we
What a
had
cool little dog. Just joking, that's a cat.
Cub Camp, and then you're standing on the
Oh, yeah. Yes.
on the railing there with your big pack of bedding and clothes and all that.
It was as big as you are. Yeah.
What did he pretended to run away or something?
No, this was at Cub Camp, and he was ready to come home.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it's like a big military
Yeah.
pack. So he was there, standing there, cool.
The other thing I remember about Cub Scouts, now that you bring this up, is the car races.
Oh yes.
And you were given, I think we were cheating. We were cheating, weren't we?
I don't know.
Because you drilled holes in them and you put metal in it to make it go faster, to make it heavier. But I think we were only supposed to use what was in the official kits. But you were like, it's okay.
Oh,
They'll never
that
find
sounds like
out.
a dad thing for sure.
Do you have any comment on this?
No, I don't have any comment on it. Did we ever win?
No, it never worked. It never worked. You always tried, but it never worked. I don't know how the cars won, but
So what you had to do, you got a block of wood and you had to carve out this car and put wheels on it.
and paint it and make it look all cool. And the idea was like, it's got to be.
Isn't that a soapbox car?
Except it's only about like yay big. Like the soapbox cars are the ones that you actually ride in, right?
They ran them down a ramp.
Yeah, it's like the mall. I think they did it at, and they had a ramp, and there'd be like 4 lanes, and they would race 4 cars at a time, and then whichever one won would go on to like the next round. And I think we were usually eliminated in the first or second rounds, but
Oh, not enough holes drilled.
not enough holes, not enough metal. That's clearly the takeaway. Yeah.
And I mean, of course, in here, there's a number of things on creative writing. This was from grade 9. The life-saving dog.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It was 11 o'clock a.m. Oh, he circled the A, but I think it's because he thought I wrote it was 11 o'clock A.
You have a small
Mon
A.
Friday.
You have a little A and a capital M. That's why.
No, that's how you draw a big A
Oh, I
in
guess
proper
that's true.
writing.
I guess that's true. Yeah, you're right.
It's because he thinks it says it was 11 o'clock Mon
Oh,
Friday.
I see what
But
you
no,
mean.
it says it was
Got
11
you.
o'clock a.m. on
Yes,
Friday,
yeah.
and for the people of Fairview, it would be the worst day of their lives. You see, even though Fairview was a small city about the size of Prince George, for all those people who are familiar with Prince George, it happened to be sitting on a natural fault line. I don't know why I capitalized natural fault line, but
Looks good.
the relatively young city had not yet experienced earthquakes, but today that was going to change. We'll just leave it there, I think.
Yeah. Leave them in suspense.
Leave them in
So
suspense.
that's all in cursive writing.
Yeah. How
But
did
they
I?
don't teach that anymore.
I only got 40 out of 50. Come on.
Oh, Todd, see, you're the worst because I'd be like, cool, I got 40 out of 50. I'm so smart.
I didn't have enough relationship in my plot. Well,
Yeah, you're so
Yeah.
smart. 40 out of 50 is bad. That would be a good mark for me.
And that's
it's all relative, Kelsey.
Yeah.
That's a fairly high B. I
Yeah.
think 73 is a B, so that would work
Yeah.
out to be an 80. I can't find, he wrote a story, and I don't know, maybe you took it home, I can't remember. But it was one of the first kind of, I think you wrote it on your own. And I'm trying to think of what it was called. It was either to do with supernatural or and it was quite thick, and you had written it. Maybe you took it home. Plus, he wrote a number of really nice haikus that I have stored away.
I don't think they were haikus. I think they're like freeform poetry, but
Okay, sorry, I'm not too up in my poetry. It wasn't rhyming poetry, but he's always loved to write. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's always
he's
loved
all
to write.
about dialogue. and-
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. I remember when I was, because even though I dropped out of school, I did take some college courses after that. And so I had to go back and do I had to go to TRU or UCC at the time to do like English 11 equivalency and like Math 11 equivalency before I could do the university courses. And in the English class, I wrote a long freeform poem about a serial killer. But you only find out that it's a serial killer about halfway through the poem. When it starts, it just seems to be about this man that is like out walking his dog. And it's supposed to feel like this nice sort of like man out for walking his dog. But then halfway through it talks about how he ends up choosing a victim and what he's going to do to the victim and everything else. Anyway, the teacher didn't like the poem very much.
It's dark.
Yeah. Well, sometimes life is dark.
Yeah.
Well,
Story
and
high,
you used
be
to,
dark.
you're part of the long coats.
I was in the Trenchcoat Mafia before the Trenchcoat Mafia existed.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Oh.
She probably doesn't know what that is.
Oh, I
She's
know.
probably too young.
You mean like Columbine?
Well, just in the sense that we were kind of the outsider kids in
Yeah,
junior
yeah.
high.
Yeah,
And
I
I
know.
had,
Yeah.
in the winter, I had a long black like overcoat, but it was because it was warm and comfy. But and also moderately
And you're
cool.
evil.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Well, it was cool. Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
And the principal,
Your mom says
the
cool, so
principal
cool.
started calling you the long coats. Was
Did
it?
they? I don't remember that, but
Berry
Yeah,
sale.
Barry Sales. Yeah.
okay. Well, that makes sense.
Oh, so you're part of a gang.
I guess. Yeah.
Weird.
We were. The school was there, and then like across the street and down the hill into the woods is where like we all hung out and smoked our cigarettes.
Sure. Cigarettes.
That's all it was for me at that point. Yeah.
Oh.
It wasn't until around probably grade 12 or later that I had any sort of pot smoking.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, you guys.
My drug use?
I don't know. No.
No.
Not at mom and dad's house.
Well, I think I've openly told them
Yeah.
like they're both well aware that I've gotten into
Marijuana.
Yeah.
the cannabis since it's become legal.
But I do want to make one comment before we go. Occasionally, Todd has started to bring something up that happened when he was younger that we maybe didn't know about. And my philosophy is, I don't want to know about it. It didn't kill him, and he's here today. So I don't want to hear what he did back then that I might not have approved of. Because he started to say, you know, Mom, one time, that, you know, you didn't know. And I say, no, I didn't. I don't want to
And I
know
don't
now.
wanna know now.
That's right.
Well, but you have to realize that with my personality the way it is now, that telling me this is only going to make me want to bring up things more.
I know it's sort of like a form of torture.
But I am going to bring them up,
You need
even
like-
though you've asked me not to.
Reverse psychology would probably work on him.
Okay.
Don't tell me about those times that you, or no, Todd, tell me about the times when you were bad. And then he'd be like, maybe I won't.
Yeah, I don't think it'll
Yeah.
work for Todd.
But he-
No, because I again, it's like I like talking about myself too much.
Yeah, I know.
So I think we're past. Are we past an hour?
By 2 minutes.
By 2 minutes.
Whoa.
We could wrap it up here. We could wrap it up here. I think
All
maybe.
right. What is your favorite thing about your son?
Oh,
You
my.
better think of an answer, Dad.
My favorite thing about him.
It'll be something mushy, probably.
Mushy. Don't cry, Mom. Or you can cry. It's okay.
You
It's
know,
a safe space.
I mean, I think all mums would say the same thing. They're proud of their children. Even when they've made mistakes, they've learned from them. They've become better persons for making those mistakes. And I think with Todd, he's very open. You know, he's open to learning things, way more open, I think, than I am. Sometimes I might be a little closed-minded, but I think those are the things I'm most proud of him about, and the person he's turned out to be.
You're going to make me cry.
Well, I think, you know, you've always had the ability to do whatever you chose to do, and in, you know, you've been in the newspaper business, and we appreciate that, and I guess respect you for that, and I guess that's about it for me.
Fair enough. And obviously,
Dad's proud.
I'm much cooler than you could have possibly hoped I would be.
That's probably true. That's probably true. Yeah.
He was born and you're like, what a loser.
No,
That's how I felt through much of it. To be fair,
we just thought, what a sweet, quiet little boy. He's just
This
gonna
sweet, quiet little
behave
loser.
himself all of his life and just, boy, were we
yeah.
wrong.
Eventually, I decided that was boring.
Yeah.
No.
Todd's an amazing human. I love spending my time with him. He always makes me feel comfortable, and he's my safe space to talk about hard things, and I appreciate the time I've spent with him.
You weren't required to say anything nice, so I really appreciate
I know.
that.
I'll turn on you. Hold on.
Oh, she wasn't done. Sorry. There's a butt coming.
No, I'm kidding. I agree. Mom and Dad are right. He's got many talents, many sides to him. Definitely not perfect, but
Close.
a very, very valuable person to have in your life, for sure.
Well, I guess thanks for coming on this journey through my history with me and for being willing to.
Oh, wait. You were 6 pounds when you were born. How much do you weigh now, Todd?
Oh, that's a mean.
That is a mean question. Last time I checked, I think I'm about 240 pounds, which is it's down from 250, which was last year, I think. So I've lost some weight.
Okay. I was just kidding. You didn't really have to say that. But.
And I probably didn't want to, but since I was able to frame it in a positive way, because I'm down 10 pounds,
Well, there you go.
I figure I might as well take an opportunity to be,
Yeah.
maybe I'll be down 10 more next year. I'm playing a lot of Beat Saber, guys. It's a good workout.
Good. And I would just like to thank Kelsey and Todd for making this easy, because I wasn't going to do it to begin with. I was very nervous, but they're very, very easy to talk with.
Oh, Mom, you're great. Mom and Dad, great.
Well, I think like our approach, or at least my approach, is to just try to have a fun conversation with the people that we're streaming with, and hopefully, if I'm invested in the conversation, and if they are hopefully invested back, then it is just like we're just having a chat, and there happens to be a camera nearby.
Yeah,
So
you forget it's there.
Yeah.
You forget it's there.
again, I think it is because we stream on an iPhone. It's not a particularly intrusive piece of technology. You have a fairly sizey tripod, but then like on top of it is like it's just a tiny little thing. So, yeah.
But we are big deals.
We are big deals. We're kind of a big deal, you guys.
You are. You
Yeah.
are. I'm very impressed that we were asked to do this.
Right?
Absolutely.
You guys are at the same caliber as like the medieval market and studio theater.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
I never thought I would ever attain that glory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enjoy the glory.
Any final thoughts?
Enjoy the fame.
No, other than this was a lot of fun.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.
You want to say something? You want to do a dance?
No,
No?
no,
All
that's
right.
fine.
Okay, goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.